Hey, what's up? It's a video, another video. I'm back on this YouTube channel. It's been a long time. I feel like over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been kind of off and on this YouTube channel, which has bummed me out really. But the last year has been like not even off and on. It's just been basically off. And so I'm making this video to talk a bit about where I've been, what's been going on, what's going on today. It's actually my third time sitting here trying to make this video because I found myself yapping about certain parts of what I want to talk about. But I don't want this to be super long. I was like, it was long about something. It was like tangent on tangent. But what I want to be able to do is to just show up more, no matter how I feel, no matter if I feel like I'm able to provide a smart, well thought out, unique perspective on anything or whatever. And so I've been putting off this video for a long time because of that impulse to like always show up as my best self. And even today, I didn't really want to make this video. I felt like I wasn't ready. But I'm trying to like push myself, or not even push myself, allow myself to just it's literally the opposite of trying to push myself. I'm trying to allow myself to just show up how I am, make a video how I am, and we're trying to put that into practice. And so, yeah, I'm trying to. So let me talk a little bit about what's been going on. So I started this channel 2016-ish, and it was when I was doing evangelical ministry stuff. I was a youth and young adults minister, and I was on my way to getting a pastoral license. And the plan was to plant a church and be the pastor of that church and preach and lead a church. And as I was studying and learning to become a pastor, I found myself disagreeing more and more and more with the evangelical denomination I was in, but also all of evangelicalism, really. And that's also why I've never, like, if you've heard me talk about leaving that, it's never been about that specific church. It's always been about conservative Christianity in general, really. And so it was always a feeling of like I'm being called to move on toward living out this faith in a different way and talking about this faith in a different way. So I started the channel while I was still there, talking about faith and progressive-ish politics, and I left August 2017, and it felt like, okay, now I could be fully honest about what I believe. But the vibe for me was always like, I'm now going to be able to talk about this stuff to a different group of people in a different way. And I feel like I'm following my calling to do ministry. And then, but I think the energy was always like, it was too much trying to like jump into the next thing and be successful at the next thing as fast as possible so I can skip the necessary grieving process that one goes through when they lose a community the way that I had by going through that and leaving that. And then I suffered for it. And so I like went through a major depressive episode, the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. But then as I was coming out of that, I became a lot more passionate about the YouTube channel and was like, I wanted to be way more intentional. And I wanted to talk about really faith and the intersection between faith and leftist politics. And by leftist, I mean anti-capitalist and anti-imperialist, and being able to talk about how these things aren't against each other. They like, my faith led me to radical politics. And I know a bunch of other people feel the same way. And I want to be able to build some sort of community talking to people about that. But I was also learning about all this as I was going along. And I was driven a lot by this isn't really talked about much, or this especially isn't talked about really at all on YouTube. A bunch of books about this kind of stuff, a bunch of academic articles, a whole bunch of, oh, some podcasts, some bloggers, but there wasn't anything on. I looked it up on YouTube, and there was like a couple channels that hadn't made videos in years, that had only made a couple of videos. But I was like, I was driven by this idea of like seeing certain things in discourse or debates or explanations of certain things or things in the news, and wishing someone would talk about certain things in a certain way to help people understand it. And that includes like talking about like news and religion, or topics in religion and politics from a larger historical perspective, or talking about like the different movements and that have brought us to where we are today, and just giving a bigger perspective on different things. And that work involved a lot of me doing research in order for me to understand, so that I can help other people understand. And it was very enjoyable, and it was awesome and fun. And I was able to build a little online community here on YouTube, and then a bit on Instagram and Twitch. And I got a book deal from it with Broadleaf Books. Wrote a book called The God Who Riots, taking back the radical Jesus, The God Who Riots, and put that out. Or I wrote it 2021, and then put it out in August 2022. And then that also was like a lot of, let me put in like everything I've learned for several years now about this perspective of like, oh yeah, of course Jesus is way more radical than we're taught to believe. And of course your faith led you to a radical politics. Of course. Let me explain that, and explain how that makes sense, and help people understand it better, and articulate better for themselves. But again, a lot of that energy was like, let me, in order to say anything, do a lot of this research and thinking and connecting, so that I could put something out into the world that either isn't there already or is barely there. And so think about it. All of that is very high effort. And so if I then enter into a season where it's very difficult for me to do anything that requires a lot of effort, then I suddenly am unable to make much videos or writing or anything. And often it felt like that, where it was like, because I started to get burned out and depressed and anxious and stressed. And when I would feel like, oh, I should really make something about this or about that, the next thoughts would be, oh well, I would like to do more research on this or that, so I can include that and make it the best it can be. But I was depressed and stressed and overwhelmed, and so then it would just be way harder to do any of that. And then the other thought would be like, oh, well, I haven't made anything in a long time. Let me like come out and make something. But then the other thought is like, what am I going to do? Say hi? What am I going to do? Talk about my life? What am I going to do? I've already set this precedent that I'm the guy that comes on here and talks about religion and politics in this particular way that helps people understand things. So what am I going to do? So all that is such stressful overthinking, over analyzing energy. But I started to get really burned out toward the end of 2021, finishing the book. And then 2022 went straight into like trying to promote the book and trying to do the best I could there. And then I was running on burnt out energy, and then got more burnt out, and then just other things, a lot of other things that just started coming up, because I think it was like I was experiencing parts of myself by doing new things in life. I was experiencing parts of myself that I didn't know before, and it was overwhelming and difficult. And then I'm sure there was chemical things going on. And so then I started taking medicine, and there was a season of trying to take different medications that also made it a lot harder to do anything, and that required effort. And that's also another reason I've been gone for a long time, was medication stuff. That was making it really hard to even get out of bed. And then there's all these mind games of like, well, it's hard for everybody to get out of bed. And then I stopped taking a certain medication, and I was like, oh, wait, no, hell no. That was way harder. What I was experiencing was way harder than the normal amount of difficulty it is for most people to get out of bed. And so yeah, off and on different medications, and I was also going to therapy. Been going to therapy for like, I went a little bit in 2018, and then I've been going for like almost 3 years now. But and that's helped. But I think, I mean, there's a lot of different angles to this, but I just wanted to come on and yap a bit. I know I said that I had other takes of this where I was yapping too much, but it's inevitable. There's going to be some yapping because there's a lot of angles to this, and I haven't talked about it at all. And so, I mean, on here. And so, what was I going to say? The other thing is, I think I just went through a lot of changes, and then was waiting around or trying to work hard at feeling how I used to feel the last time I remembered feeling good, and feeling like there's something wrong with me until I feel that exact feeling, without realizing you're in a constant state of becoming, bro. Change, process. You're always changing. There's no going back. And that's been tricky for me to try to understand, okay, is this new feeling a problem that needs to be fixed, or is this just how life is now? Including lack of motivation for a lot of things. Am I experiencing a lack of motivation because something's wrong? Or do you just lose motivation as you get older in the way that your metabolism gets worse as you get older? Or is this just this medication or a lack of a different medication that maybe I should know about? It's all this overanalysis. But I think the big thing is like, oh yeah, no, things have just changed, period, because things change, period. And then another huge realization too, that I think was undergirding a lot of my resistance to making stuff, was a feeling of not liking myself. And making stuff now, there's people here. You are watching this now, and there will be comments on this. And then especially the way the algorithms have changed, especially like the TikTokification of everything, has made it so that these platforms are intentionally trying to show whatever you make, even if it's just a little post about your family, like the strangers will see it no matter what, and unless everything's private. Okay, so yeah, what I'm trying to say is, because stuff I'm making has other people seeing everything I'm making now, if I don't like myself, then that becomes way harder, because it becomes a process of now I don't like myself and looking at this self that I don't like. And if I make stuff and videos or articles or whatever, then all these other people are also going to see that self that I don't like. So why would I want to do that? And so, and in general, when I feel emotionally overwhelmed, especially even looking at what's happening in the world, my impulse has never been to post on the internet. When I'm emotionally overwhelmed, I go inward, or if I am external about it, then I'm external with people who are actually in my life, close to me. I'll talk to them about it. But making content on the internet about something that I'm emotionally overwhelmed by has never been how my brain works. Which creates this other frustration of like certain things I would like to talk more about because I feel like people expect it. But then, like, what am I gonna say? Like, but it's not even the reason it's what am I gonna say is because when I try to come up with something to say, nothing's there because I'm emotionally overwhelmed. Nothing's there. I can't really. Here's an important thing to understand. I don't think I can yap about things that I'm emotionally overwhelmed by, which tells you everything I've talked about in this video is stuff that I've been processing for a long time. You're not witnessing me yap about my feelings because maybe something's wrong with me or genetics or just where I'm at in my life. I can't do that. And maybe I'm doing that right now, actually, because I didn't plan to talk about this. But yeah, and when I say I can't do that, what I mean is that I need to process before I say things or before I articulate things in a way that would be helpful for people. And so yeah, part of me wanting to make this video is also to satisfy my ego that feels the need to have explanations and justifications for people so that imaginary people get off my back. When really they're just imaginary. It's just me putting all this pressure on myself. But anyway, I say that to say, like, there's a bunch of explanations of things that have been going on. And there you go. Ego satisfied. Now let's get a little bit real. Besides the ego, this is also me trying to starve the ego of some of the validation it's been seeking by showing up, like I said at the beginning, imperfect. I'm tired of waiting around until I feel better. Because I think that's been part of the thought process too, of like, oh, I'm going through stuff. Let me wait until I feel better and then I'll start making stuff again. It's not happening. Because the reality is I've just changed in different ways. And I feel kind of bad because I feel like I know a lot of you out there care about me in some way. And I kind of like shut y'all out to that process of change. And so I think right now I'm of the thought process that I'd rather show up and fail at articulating things well instead of not showing up at all because I'm uncertain if I can articulate things well. Because that's been the go-to for a long time now. And so So I'm yapping, and there's this anxiety in me of like, yo, this video is too long. Nobody's gonna watch this whole video. Oh well. Oh, and the other thing that has been a major reason I've been gone for so long is because I've been working on another book. I've been writing this new book for like, yeah, over a year, and that's the other thing. Like this new book has been so much harder than what I was expecting. Partly because of everything I've been explaining in this video of like just what I've been going through personally, but also because just the nature of this book, it's a lot more personal, and what I'm trying to do in the book is a bit more complex than what I was doing in the first book. And so yeah, for several reasons, it ended up being way harder than I thought it would be and taking way longer than I thought it would. And so that's the other thing. I've been writing a lot for a while now. And so I'm still working on this book. I'm kind of toward the end. I don't want to talk about exactly what's in the book yet. We'll talk about that another time. But I'm toward the end of writing that. And yeah, that's another major reason I've been gone for a while. And there's also like just a lot of things that I've been going through personally that I'm not going to talk about. And that's the other thing. I got very used to not talking about personal things. And a major reason was because of like the trolls and the weird people that just get weird about it. And so like I made a choice a long time ago to not really talk about much personal stuff. And the result of that was when I'm in a season where all I kind of have to talk about is personal stuff, I just disappear. So that's kind of what it's been, really. And now I'm kind of like going back and forth because I think I was on a very extreme end of like not wanting to talk about personal stuff on the internet. And now I think I'm kind of like, yeah, I want to be a bit more open, especially for those out there that I know care about me and appreciate the stuff I do and want to be able to, support me. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, I mean, what else? What could we say? At this point, I'm kind of worn out from yapping so much. So yeah, let's talk about the future then. I am gonna keep writing this book. You'll hear more about this book later, much later actually. It's not gonna come out for a while. And I want to start making more videos on YouTube and Instagram, and I feel like those are like my two favorite places to make stuff right now is YouTube and Instagram. But what else? And I have some other ideas of like stuff I want to start doing that maybe will be a bit easier to make that is still aligned with some of the stuff that you've heard from me before, but I don't want to say too much about that. We'll see. But I have ideas. I'm still in this. I'm still passionate about this. I still want to keep writing and making videos. But I've been out for a while, and so I just wanted to give y'all an update on that. All right, that's enough. Enough yapping. And I would like to keep making stuff, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for listening, y'all. Appreciate you.